Incompetent old geezer. Go sleep on the streets. John, a department head from another section, used his power to make me his subordinate, then spewed such abusive language. I'm in shock from an unbelievable scene I witnessed at home. It's because my wife, Sarah, who was supposed to be supporting my dream of becoming an artist, was mocking me behind my back. It was a moment when all the happy times of our marriage seemed to shatter in an instant. Thank you very much. What? I pretended to be strong in front of John and Sarah, and then left the scene. Even though the place I just left was my house, I wonder why I have to leave. However, I couldn't bear to be in the same space as them while they were in the middle of bad-mouthing me. Later, I would meet an artist I admire in a museum. At that time, I had no idea this meeting would lead to my revenge. My name is Sean. I just turned 50, a perfectly average office worker. I don't stand out much from others, but I am somewhat confident in my painting skills. While working at a medium-sized company, I was striving to realize a dream. It was my dream to hold an exhibition. I have always wanted to become an artist since I was little, though I don't expect much. Dad, Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to be an artist and make everyone happy. That's a wonderful dream. You can surely make it come true. Yes, that's right. If you've decided on something, don't give up on it. I want you to follow the path you want to pursue. I understand the harshness of reality, so I'm satisfied if people just enjoy the paintings I create. The one supporting me is my wife, Sarah. Sarah was an employee in another department at the same workplace when we met. She was in her 30s, more than 20 years younger than me. A few years ago, we hit it off at a mixer I was forcibly taken to by a colleague. Since I got to meet someone as wonderful as you, attending the mixer I wasn't interested in was worth it. I have to thank my friend who invited me. I was only participating because my colleague told me to, but I'm glad I met someone as wonderful as you, Sarah. We share the same interests. Sarah, younger and more beautiful than her actual age, stood out considerably. That's why I was worried whether she could like someone as plain-looking as me, but it turned out to be an unfounded worry. Afterward, we went on several museum dates before getting married, and we've been living happily ever since. She does most of the housework, but on days off, I also help out with what I can. I leave all the financial management to her, as I work hard to provide her with a comfortable life. She is a wonderful person full of compassion. You will definitely realize your dream. After all, you draw such beautiful pictures. Everyone will notice the quality of your work. Every time I complete a piece, she would say that. I thought she was a reliable supporter who encouraged my dreams more than anyone else. So even if my dreams didn't come true, I intended to cherish her. Yet, I never expected such a betrayal. It was so terrible that I would want to go back in time to warn my past self. It was a day with a steady drizzle. As I headed to my office, I pondered the artwork I had been creating in my home studio. After placing my umbrella dripping with raindrops in the umbrella stand, I opened the door to the marketing department. I placed my belongings at my assigned desk and spent the time before work started relaxing, when I overheard voices nearby. It seemed that my colleagues at the nearby desks were excited about a certain topic. Hey, did you hear? Michael is coming to America. Really? He's usually active overseas. That's unusual. Apparently, a famous artist is coming to America. I listened intently, recognizing the name. Unable to contain my excitement, I found myself joining their conversation. Is that true? My sudden interjection seemed to surprise them. They blinked in confusion, but soon filled me in on the details. Oh, yes. I forgot you were a fan, Sharon. Michael is coming to America this weekend. He'll be holding an exhibition at a museum in New York and participating in events there. Since he creates such wonderful paintings, I'm naturally curious. I'm not usually interested in such things, but I really like Michael's paintings. Michael is an artist who will turn 60 this year. He is globally renowned and has many fans. His delicate creations captivate even those who usually have no interest in art. I've always hoped to create works like his. As I got absorbed in my farts, the workday began, and I focused on my job. In the office, I mainly assist others with their tasks. Especially for newcomers, managing their own responsibilities is challenging enough, so I always keep an eye on them. Take your time, there's no rush. Oh, don't worry about this. I'll put it back where it belongs. Even now, I was putting a new employee manual back on the shelf after helping another employee. During this, I was approached by a man. It was John, the sales department head. For some reason, this mid-30s man sees me as an adversary. Although he is a capable person having reached the position of department head at a young age, he often looks down on others. 3 years ago, when I helped with sales work due to a certain incident, he was terribly rude. Back then, he used to say things like this daily. A man in his 50s who can barely do his job and is slow is useless. I don't need your help, so just go back to your own department. His attitude infuriated me, but quitting my job impulsively would have troubled other employees. So, at that time, I endured daily and ignored his abusive language. What could have brought John to our department? Curious, I watched as he headed towards a famously beautiful female employee in this department. You dropped your handkerchief in the hallway. Apparently, he had just come to send it. Smiling as he handed over the handkerchief, he suddenly took out his phone, his facial expression changing to one of concern. Then, with a worried look, he quickly left the area. I wondered if there was some trouble in the department. However, he didn't need to come during work hours, but perhaps he came so quickly because the owner of the handkerchief was beautiful. I recalled how he had a weakness for beautiful women. If he saw any man flirting with a woman he was interested in, he would get extremely irritable. As I worked through the afternoon, past events came back to me. It was about the time I met Sarah. I remember trying to invite her to lunch. When the lunch break arrived, I was on my way to meet Sarah, who worked at this company at the time, when John and Sarah approached from the opposite direction. The people in our department had a hard time. Food poisoning from a snack is really unfortunate. That's true. It's a hassle when someone causes trouble like that. They're going to be in big trouble. They seemed to be discussing a recent incident. After noticing me, Sarah ran over to me, so I didn't think too much about their conversation anymore. However, if I had known a little more about their relationship at that time, things might have turned out differently afterward. Perhaps I wouldn't have been shocked to learn about who she really was. As I was absent-mindedly continuing my afternoon work, I received startling news. Sarah has collapsed. I need to get to the hospital quickly. This was the bad news that my beloved wife had been taken to the hospital about an hour ago. I was so distraught that I can't remember who told me or how. I was simply too worried about her. Although someone who happened to be there was accompanying her, it was not comforting at all. Wanting to see her as soon as possible to feel reassured, I caught a taxi to the hospital. I've never felt that panic in my life. Leaving work early, I arrived at the hospital, gave my name at the reception, and was directed to her room. With a heavy heart, I opened the door to the room, but my beloved wife was lying on the bed, looking the same as usual. Noticing my presence, she sat up in bed. Are you okay, Sarah? Did you get injured, or is it some illness? It's nothing serious, calm down. They said it was due to overwork, it's just a bit of fatigue. She smiled reassuringly, but I felt doubtful about her words. She hadn't had plans to go out recently, other than for shopping, and she wasn't involved in any physically demanding activities. Overwork, but you've been at home all the time. You know, it's been raining a lot lately. The house felt damp and it bothered me, so I've been cleaning a lot every day. I guess I got tired from that, and I fainted during a walk. Fainting from doing household chores to that extent seemed unusual. She was not someone prone to illness, so I found it odd. However, because it was my beloved wife's word, I chose to believe her at that moment. I hit my head when I fainted. So, you were just being checked out at the hospital, just to be sure. Yes, the doctors tend to exaggerate. That's good to hear. Relieved that it was not serious, I felt comforted. Sarah, who is over 20 years younger than me, has always been incredibly devoted, in a way that surprises me. Her words, encouraging me again and again to pursue my dream of becoming an artist, echoed in my mind. The thought of anything happening to her was unbearable. With the conversation winding down, I decided to ask about something that had been on my mind. By the way, I heard at work that someone accompanied you in the ambulance. Who was that? She momentarily averted her eyes. Oh, just a stranger who happened to pass by. But they were kind, stayed to watch over me until I fell asleep in the hospital. That was nice of them. I wish I could have thanked them. They had to leave because something urgent came up. I should have asked for their contact information. It's often said that people tend to ignore others in need, but this incident made me think that not everyone is indifferent. Sarah had fully recovered and was discharged from a hospital. I was happy to have our normal life back, but it seemed that peace was only temporary. One day, as I finished work earlier than usual, I decided to buy some donuts, Sarah's favorite treat. I chose 3 kinds she liked and headed home in a good mood, but upon entering, I heard an unfamiliar voice. It was the laughter of a young man. Thinking a guest might have visited, I walked into the house. Then, in the living room of my own home, I saw a man and a woman. They were watching TV, laughing and sitting close together and having their arm around each other's shoulders. Haha, did you see that? What a silly animal. Absolutely, it's so silly. The two of them were watching a show about animals. The TV screen continuously displayed animals in goofy poses. The volume of the TV was so high that it likely erased the sound of me walking into the house. They seemed unaware of my return. I was about to talk to Sarah when I was taken aback by the man's voice. I was really surprised when I heard you were taken to the hospital. I was shocked when I saw the email. I'm sorry for worrying you, but I was happy you came. By the way, there was someone with you, right? It wasn't another man, was it? Of course not. It was just a man from the neighborhood, don't worry about it. The voice conversing so familiarly with Sarah belonged to John. Well, as long as it wasn't someone else. Let's make a game of it. Let's name people who resemble the silly animals we're seeing now. That sounds fun. Let me start. That slow animal from earlier definitely reminds me of Shan. No doubt, he was slow when we worked in the same department too. The two burst into crude laughter, clearly enjoying their insult fest. They continued comparing people to the goofy animals shown on TV. Your husband is late today, isn't he? Do you miss him when he's not around? Of course not. It's easier without him. He's always dreaming up silly things. It's exasperating. To think he could become an artist with those childish drawings. It's just not going to happen. Their mocking laughter and the torrent of insults flowed effortlessly. When I heard Sarah's words, I was so shocked that I wondered if I was being delusional. However, when I pinched my cheek, I felt real pain in that area. Hey, you shouldn't say things like that, it's too cruel to your husband. I was so overwhelmed by what they were saying that I dropped the donuts I was holding. The noise finally made them notice me. Sarah and John looked towards me. Have you two been having an affair? Sarah didn't respond, but John smirked dismissively and spoke up. Yes, idiot. It took you long enough. As he approached me, he nonchalantly placed his hand on my shoulder. Your face right now is priceless. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I fell for Sarah first, and then you went and married her. Hearing this, Sarah sweetly addressed John. Don't be mistaken, John. I never loved this man. I was only after his money, thinking it'd be nice to have plenty when I'm with you. After all, he did have a lot of savings." With a smooth cruelty, Sarah smiled and linked arms with John, flaunting their closeness. "In fact, I just showed him the bank balance. Indeed, looks like he had saved quite a bit." At that moment, I fully realized the true nature of the woman I had thought was my wife. She must have been mocking me all this time while we lived together. I was foolish to be deceived in such a way. "So, stay out of our way and leave this house." "Why do I need to do that? This is my house." I rasped out these words of resistance, but John just said, "So. Stop playing the victim. It's annoying. Remember when we worked in the same department? I was irritated by you then too. You were trying to teach me work, yet you couldn't do much yourself, always bothering me with your chatter. You're still incompetent, aren't you?" I remembered the times I had worked with John. Everything I had done, I did thinking it was for the best. I was swamped with my own work, but never wanted to leave the younger employees struggling, despite my intentions. Now, I'm the department head, and you're just an entry-level employee. How does it feel to be overtaken by someone younger? Besides, I'm pretty well connected with the executives. Maybe I'll ask them to transfer you to my department. It must be humiliating to have the man who stole your wife as your boss, right?" John said these words with a sneer. "Come on, try calling me boss." All I could do was clench my teeth in frustration. Listening to the barrage of insults, I tried to tune them out, but quickly reached my limit. Looking bored, John said, "What a dull guy, just get out," pointing towards the front door with his gaze. "An incompetent old geezer should just sleep on the streets." Saying that, he dismissively waved his hand at me. At that moment, all the memories I had built up seemed to crumble entirely. "Thank you very much." "What?" I realized I had said that unconsciously. "By the way, there seems to be a rumor going around in my department about someone who can't resist pretty women and has a messy love life. You're quite famous, boss. Are you satisfied now?" "What did you say?" "Wait, there's another woman besides me." John was taken aback by Sarah's suspicious gaze and seemed flustered. As they argued, I treated John as the boss as he wished, and then I left the scene. Now that the betrayal was clear, it was better. Thinking about the years I could have been deceived, this was somewhat better. Pretending to be strong, I left the house without saying anything more to Sarah. After that, I ended up staying at a business hotel. The house was purchased with my money, but now John and Sarah are living there. I couldn't live in that house anymore, nor did I want to have any interaction with them. Since I had left abruptly, the ATM card for my main savings account was still with Sarah. Fortunately, I had other bank accounts. Considering it risky to keep all my savings in one bank account, I had created multiple accounts. Probably even Sarah thought managing all accounts would raise suspicions. The accounts I still had showed no signs of withdrawals. But that didn't make me feel any better. The betrayal from Sarah left a deep wound in my heart. I wonder how long Sarah has been cheating. Was she laughing at my dream of becoming an artist all along? Maybe from the very beginning. Was there ever affection, or was it just for money from the start? Being ignored from the beginning would have been better than this. It's better than being told that my entire married life was an illusion. With these thoughts, I began to work through my days heavily, trying to escape reality. "Sean, you look pale. Are you okay? You really should take some time off." "It's okay. I just want to focus on work right now." Although my colleagues expressed concern, I needed to concentrate on something to avoid dwelling on unpleasant thoughts. So, I continued to immerse myself in work. However, one afternoon, John came to meddle. Ignoring him, he soon left with a pale face, which didn't cause much trouble, but what was that about? "What a bore. Your future boss is here to see you." and that's how you react. Initially, he laughed, but after glancing at the department entrance, he fled as if escaping. At the end of his gaze, a woman stood blushing. Later, a colleague told me that John was being followed around by a woman from another department. Whenever he came to work, he walked the halls as if running from something. Colleagues had witnessed this. From that day on, he became busy evading female employees daily. After focusing on work for a while, a bit of my motivation for other things started to return. So, on a day off, I decided to refresh myself by visiting an art museum. There, an exhibition by the currently popular Michael was being held. Excited about what kind of artwork I would see, I was surprised to find Michael himself at the exhibition. Is that Michael himself? Seeing the face I had only known from magazine interviews and TV up close made me doubt if he was really there for a moment. I even rubbed my eyes and muttered to myself. Perhaps he noticed my intense gaze. While standing quietly in a corner of the museum, Michael approached me to start a conversation. "You wanted to see me?" "Oh, no, sorry, I was just staring." Michael's voice was calm, and even though it was our first meeting, I felt relaxed. "That's all right, I'm used to it, but you look quite pale. Are you not feeling well?" "I'm fine, really, just a bit tired from everything that's been going on." I tried to sound strong, not wanting to worry someone I admired. But it seemed my spirit was more frayed than I thought. Tears began to fall without me noticing. "I'm sorry, I just found out recently that my wife was cheating on me, and I thought I could handle it, but perhaps I was at my limit internally." When the tears flowed, it felt like the tension went away. There's no need to rush. Crying is just your heart doing what's necessary to heal. If you need to, go ahead and let out all the painful things that have happened. Michael, seeing my face, spoke in a gentle voice, which probably reassured me. I felt that he would listen to my story without making fun of it. So, I talked about what had happened to me recently and continued crying for a while. Though it felt odd to be doing this with a stranger, I sensed a mysterious aura of trust. As a result, I felt embarrassed but also a bit relieved. After the storm in my heart had calmed down, I thanked him. "Thank you. I'm all right now." However, Michael didn't seem intent on ending our connection there. He continued the conversation about my desire to become an artist. "So you're creating art to become an artist, huh? I'm actually planning a joint exhibition soon, but we're short on hands. Would you like to participate?" "What, with you?" His sudden proposal took me by surprise. Could something this wonderful really be happening in my otherwise ordinary life? Seeing my bewildered expression, Michael continued with a softened look. "The next gallery where I'm planning the exhibition owes me a big favor. But due to a planning mistake, we're short on the number of artworks to display." It felt too good to be true, but if I refused, I knew I'd regret it for the rest of my life. "Of course, we'll proceed after I've seen your works." I didn't want the betrayal by Sarah to just be a sad memory. With that determination, I just nodded. "If you think I'm good enough, I'd be grateful to join." Part of me wanted to help because my admired figure seemed in need, not just because it was an opportunity. Things progressed quickly after that. Normally, there would be more detailed explanations, but only the bare minimum was provided. Probably because there wasn't much time left until the event. After several busy weeks, the day of the exhibition arrived. In one corner of the museum, several of my paintings are displayed in a less prominent spot. These are items I moved from the house when Sarah and John were not around. It was a challenge to get everything done by today, but I'm relieved that it somehow worked out. Never thought a day like this would come. It's like a dream. As I watched the visitors come into the museum, I felt deeply moved. Just having a conversation with Michael, someone I looked up to, was a joy, but to have my childhood dream come true in this way was beyond my expectations. "Mom, Dad, look. I like that painting over there." "What is it?" "Oh, that's definitely Michael's style. It's wonderful." "Oh, that one. Nice, isn't it?" Most visitors were there to see Michael's artwork. Only a few stopped to look at mine. But even that made all the hard work worth it. "But that one's good too. It's a happy family." "Oh, what a heartwarming painting." "This seems to be someone else's work, but it must have been painted by a wonderful person." Among the pleased visitors was a journalist. This male reporter had come to cover Michael's work, but he also took notice of mine. After his coverage, not only did he feature the exhibition in a newspaper article, but he also talked about it on a TV program. Soon, my work began to attract a lot of attention. I had no plans to quit my job or sell my art full-time, so my daily life didn't change much, but it felt a bit awkward. Moreover, my colleagues at work started teasing me, which was a bit embarrassing. Amidst these lively and busy days, my emotional wounds began to heal. However, it seems the word got out. A few weeks later, the trader, Sarah, came to see me. By then, I was living in a small apartment, not a business hotel, but somehow she had found my address. One day, as I was relaxing at home, she visited. "It's been a while, honey. I'm not your husband anymore. I sent the divorce papers." I was surprised when I opened the door, and so Sarah. And surprised that she called me honey. "Sean, I was out of my mind back then. Let's get back together." "What are you talking about? Our relationship is over. I've already signed the divorce papers, just sign them too." "Don't say such sad things. Back then, I didn't realize how wonderful you were." Seeing her ingratiating smile, I looked away. Her demeanor changed so quickly it twisted my facial expression. She probably thought she could squeeze money out of the now famous me. There was no love in it, I was sure. I didn't want to talk to her anymore, so I tried to close the door. But Sarah jammed her hand in the door gap. "Please leave. Come on, you could listen a little more. I have nothing to talk about." "That's harsh. I supported your dreams so much." Despite having mocked my dreams behind my back, how could she say that? I felt a swell of fury within. Just as I was about to say please leave again, Sarah started looking around nervously. For some reason, she began to dart her eyes here and there. Seeing her suspicious behavior, I asked her, "Is something wrong?" "Actually, I've been suffering from a stalker. This persistent weirdo is bothering me, you know. Won't you help your former wife?" While I did think that was tough, I still couldn't bring myself to help her. I could have tolerated the infidelity. I lacked confidence, and Sarah, you were young and beautiful, but I can't forgive you for laughing at my dreams. Just get out of my life. I said that, but she looked displeased. "Stop dwelling on the past. It was just a joke. Please, you're the only one I can rely on now. I'll do anything, just let me in." "Ask John then." I brushed off Sarah's plea and pushed her hand out of the door gap. Then, I quietly closed the door without another word. Perhaps the frustration was due to things not going as planned. Sarah was ranting outside for a while, but she quieted down within an hour. Just to be safe, I checked through the peephole, and she was no longer there. "Please don't ever appear before me again. It's a nuisance to the neighbors too." The joint exhibition with Michael concluded successfully. I was delighted to hear many comments from colleagues who came to see it after hearing about it. It was really good. It made me feel happy just looking at it. But I was surprised that you and Michael had a joint exhibition. Yes, truly. The paintings warmed my heart. So, how did you meet Michael? However, I had to be vague about some of their questions. I didn't want to talk about the incident with my ex-wife, given the circumstances. Amidst this, Michael began contacting me regularly. He seemed to like my work, and we exchanged ideas about creativity. You have many paintings of smiling families. What made you choose that theme? I think the family is the smallest group in society. If that group is filled with smiles, I believe they can endure any hardship. That's a wonderful way to look at. You seem to excel at creating works that support people's spirits. In my personal life, being betrayed by someone who was supposed to support me can be seen as an ironic outcome. Hearing Michael's words, I found myself in a complex state of mind. Yet, since that exhibition, I feel I've grasped something new as an artist. I feel like my skills in expressing the essence of my works have improved. I'm enjoying creating art even more. However, Sarah and John don't seem to be having as much fun. Surprisingly, Sarah was cheating with John and several other men. This included the one who had accompanied her to the hospital. She had multiple issues with several men and seemed to have gotten involved in crimes. Previously, she often looked tired because her dates overlapped. This was something the old ladies in the neighborhood told me about. While I was at work, there were rumors of her walking around cozily with different men. I saw Sarah briefly recently. She was arguing with a man. "I'm a beautiful woman dating you, so you should at least buy me dinner. A guy as stingy and ugly as you is worthless. I'm not seeing you anymore." What, weren't you serious with me? Her personality hadn't changed at all, and I felt a bit sorry for the man who was taken advantage of. Her dealings with the opposite sex likely brought her trouble. She was stalked by multiple men and even earned the ire of some women. At that time, Sarah had a horrifying experience, but it was no longer any of my concern. By the way, when I moved to this apartment, I accidentally brought books Sarah was reading. I don't usually read comics, but I secretly returned them after whimsically reading their contents. The story followed a classic comics plot where the protagonist becomes attracted to a man who is working hard for his future. However, I was shocked when I read a line in it that Sarah had once said to me. "You will surely achieve your dreams. You draw such wonderful pictures. Everyone will recognize the quality of your work." These were words that Sarah had said before. Those words that once moved my heart were all lines from a comics. The Sarah I saw was an illusion from the start. Months later, I thought I wouldn't be involved in exhibitions anymore, but it seems I was meant to. This time, I was approached to have a solo exhibition. The museum director who really liked my work offered me this opportunity, which I deeply appreciated. It was my first solo exhibition, so I was very anxious and contacted Michael. "I've been asked to hold an exhibition. Can I ask for your advice?" "Really? Congratulations. I'd be happy to help." Michael kindly advised me, and with his help, I managed to make the exhibition a success. I was proud to make the visiting families happy. "Mom, Dad, this painting looks so fun." "Yes, it's an artist I hadn't heard much about, but I'm glad we came." "Yo, I know someone who likes this kind of stuff. Maybe I'll introduce them to it." However, I never expected to run into Sarah there. "Sean, it's been a while. Actually, I need some money, about $30,000. Is that okay?" I don't know what she did, but it seems she's in debt. I can't comprehend how she could show her face to me so brazenly after such betrayal. "Did you come here just to say that? Sorry, but look elsewhere. Why don't you ask John? He got fired from his job for misconduct. I can't rely on him. So, you need to do something about it." Apparently, John had been fired from his job without my knowledge. He had been harassing me, but there had been no contact at work recently, which I found odd. I recall hearing rumors about him recently from a colleague. John was being pursued by a delusional woman, who even showed up at his house, and he looked quite haggard. What an unresolved ending. "You're not my wife or anything to me anymore. It's causing trouble for the other guests, so please leave." "How can you be so heartless? I won't rely on you anymore." Sarah threw insults at me and glared, but, feeling the stares from around, She quickly left the scene. Later, I found out that Sarah had tried to sell my house to pay off her debts. I knew it couldn't be done due to procedural issues, but it was disappointing. Her parents stopped her, so she gave up on selling the house, but it was outrageous. Thanks to Sarah's parents, I was able to return home later. Honestly, there aren't many good memories there. But I wanted to repay the kindness of her parents. Their house is quite old, so I decided to give them my house to use as they wish. Furthermore, I heard that she had been in trouble with the police, but by then, I didn't care about her anymore. Afterwards, my artistic activities accelerated smoothly. Now, an exhibition has been set up in a museum abroad. Not only in America, but people from other countries will also see my work. I couldn't have imagined such a thing a little while ago. I feel incredibly fortunate. Previously, I thought it was enough to paint as a hobby while working. But my mindset has changed a bit. I'm spending more time on artistic activities, so if exhibitions keep increasing, I'll need to think about the future. Including these worries, I emailed Michael in detail, and he said this: "Your success isn't just luck. It's because you've continued to work hard without giving up on your dreams." Hearing that, I remembered. I was saved by Sarah's encouragement when I almost gave up on my dreams several times. But there were other sources of motivation besides her words. It was what Michael answered in an interview in a magazine. "Achieving your dreams is tough. We know not everyone's dreams come true. But that's why the pursuit of dreams is wonderful and noble. I hope everyone continues to pursue their precious dreams. The sense of achievement when you fulfill them is incredible." I intend to keep remembering these words moving forward.